Alright guys, welcome back for part 2 of the State of the Collection 2021 video. As I said in the first part, it is a bit of a state, so you've seen the first part. If you haven't, I'll leave the link down in the description. Check that out before you check out this one. Let's get down to the second part. We've got the chronographs, starting with the Dan Henry 1964. So I've had this one for quite a while. One of the older reviews on the channel. Really good looking piece. Nice high down crystal. It's only a mineral crystal, but apparently it's got a sapphire coating. And then really nice polished details around that bezel. And also along the bottom edge of the case. And the rest of it just being brushed. So the movement in this is a VK63, and this is the Evil Panda version. Obviously because we've got the black dial with the white subdials. And then we've got that nice white kind of cream colour around the outside on the minute track, matching the subdials. Really good looking piece. So this actually comes with a leather strap and also a beads of rice bracelet. I kind of switch between the two, currently got it on the leather strap though. So next up we've actually got the Sugess ST1901. So it gets that name from the movement it's using, and that's the Seagull ST1901, which is pretty nice, albeit pretty old movement. So it's just a mechanical movement, not automatic, so hand wind only. And then the review of this one is actually the most viewed on my channel by quite a long way. So it's one of the older ones, and I think at the time I referred to this as the 1963 with a new face, because that's pretty much what it was at the time. Sugess, I think, didn't have any others like this. This was the first one they did. They've done a few different variations since, but this is the original one. And I do still really like it. This is the original strap it came on as well, which is also pretty nice. Nice, soft, supple one, white stitching. And it is actually quick release as well, which is a nice touch. Next up, we've got the Phylida Speedmaster Homage. So this is one that you're probably going to struggle to get your hands on if you haven't already got one, because they seem to go out of stock pretty much as soon as they come back in. Pretty high demand for these, and that is because they are really nice. So nice top out crystal on that, nice little detailing on that case, the way it kind of juts out, and nice little polished details, just a really interesting shape. And then the rest of it just being brushed, just like little polished details on the tops. Just really interesting. And then that inlaid aluminium bezel. And again, it's actually got the same movement, that Seagull ST1901. I've actually got a couple of watches now, or a few watches with this in. I do really like them. When it comes to the strap, this isn't the original one I came on. It actually came on a bracelet, and I swapped it out for this. I thought it was quite fitting. Again, I'll probably leave the link down in the description, or it'll be in the full review, which I'll link to in the description anyway. So, really nice piece. And then the final chronograph piece is this microbrand RZE Valour. So this is something totally different to the others. This is actually a titanium case. So right off the bat that's totally different. Also this is a more modern design compared to the rest, which are all more or less similar, bar the Phylida. So I do like that. Just add something a little different to the collection. And then got some nice little blue accent details on this, and then that date window. And then I do like the way the pushes are integrated into the case shape, almost like crown guards. And then it's nice to have drilled lugs as well. They do actually do a bracelet with this apparently, but I got it on the rubber strap, so it keeps the weight down. But I may possibly get the bracelet at some point, but definitely a good piece as it is. Something a bit different, titanium as I say, it's always nice to have when you're wearing it, you barely feel it. So if I had to pick my favourite piece out of all of these, that's a really tough one. I think it might be because this is the newest one, but at the moment it's probably this RZE. Because as I say, it's just something a bit different, and I'm really enjoying that at the moment. So next up we've got the sports everyday kind of watches. Starting with this Bliger. Obviously this is an Explorer homage. So this is a pretty inexpensive piece. But I do think they've done a really good job. So really nice deep black dial. I've actually got applied indices as well. Sapphire crystal. I would have preferred if the case was probably brushed, so integrated a bit better with the bracelet. The bracelet doesn't really look as if it matches, and it also juts out a bit past the case as well, which isn't ideal, but for the price I think you can forgive it, because it is quite a nice bracelet, and we have actually got a glide lock style system on it as well, which is always good to have. So if you're after a budget watch which has got the Explorer locks, they actually do a few different movement options as well. This is the NH35, I think they do the Miyota 8215 as well. I think they now also have an option for a PT 5000, which could be a nice thing if that's what you're after. Speaking of Explorer homage with PT 5000, is the San Martin Explorer homage. So this is basically just a more upgraded, well, more high-spec version of the Bliger. The bracelet just integrates a bit more nicely with the female end links, and the fit and finishing is just a bit better. The brushing is matching as opposed to polished, contrasting with the brushing. Then we just got polished on the outside instead, following along on the bracelet. And then we've got a different style clasp, the standard San Martin one, again with that polishing chamfer detail, and a nice milled clasp. The only real difference other than the specs, obviously as I said this is PT 5000, is when it comes to the dial. So the dial on this one isn't as deep a black. I do actually prefer the dial colour on the Bliger, and this one doesn't have applied indices either, these are just printed. So that may be something people might not like. Some people might prefer applied indices. I don't mind it too much for this one. The way I use these at the moment, I use this more as like a nicer piece if I'm going somewhere a bit nicer, where the Bliger has more of a everyday piece. Doesn't really matter if it gets scratched and scuffed up, because it's a nice cheap one. Next up we've got another micro brand, and that is the Relio Soltice. So in the review for this one, I actually referred to this as possibly the best everyday watch, and it has been a really good one. Got the female end links, got the really nice finishing on that bracelet, really nicely integrated into the case as well. Nice little detailing on the sides, sapphire crystal, a little bit of a dome, nice little polished details and accents, almost like a bead blasted centre bit. Nice milled clasp with pushers and plenty of micro adjust. We've actually got a customised rotor on there, and then we've got the Miyota 9039, which is the no date specific version of the 9015, which is good because obviously there's no date function on this. And then we've got that really gorgeous dial. So this is actually the teal one. They also do a red as well, but I am really enjoying this teal. I just love the way the light catches this as well, and that polished bezel. It's just a really nice piece overall. Can't really fault it. So I've recently got in another micro brand that I reviewed a while ago, and that is the second hour Mandala. So this is another absolutely beautiful piece. This is probably like a more dressy version almost of the Solstice. I'd say the Solstice is more of a everyday piece in the traditional sense, if that makes sense, which probably doesn't. Anyway, so I previously reviewed the Glacial Blue of this, which I'll probably leave links to down in the description, but then when it came to buying one myself, I think I just had to go for this one. It was back and forth between the two, but I'm definitely glad I went with this one. I just absolutely love that deep, rich blue. With the glacial blues, sometimes it almost looked like a white, because it was quite subtle. I would have preferred if it had been slightly more light blue. The detailing on this is just fantastic. Different layers with the indices at the 12, 4 and the 8, like floating above the rest. There's a nice touch, and it's like a second hour staple almost. They do that on all of their watches. And then that lovely pattern in the centre. Absolutely beautiful. As for the rest of the watch, really nice, simple finishing. Love the curvature of this. It just flows really nicely, fits on wrist beautifully. And then a really nice bracelet as well, with some polished sensor links. And they're all individual pieces. Nice mill clasp. And then a nice custom rotor as well. And this is also using the Miyota 9039. So the no date specific version again, because again we don't have a date. So really enjoying this one. Probably my favourite one at the moment, but again that's probably because it's the newest, but it's probably between this and the Solstice. You can't really go wrong with either of them. Just depends on your taste, I guess. So for this final category, I'm going to do watches that don't really fit into any of these categories, or are something a little bit special. So first up, we've got the JF Exciton. So this was the watch that was started by Gary over at I Like Watches, along with James. So this is one of the first run, limited edition ones. And it's just a really nice piece. Something a little different. That Exciton branding. Gotta zoom in. You can probably just see it just going past there. That little circle on the counterbalance of the second hand actually goes over the Exciton, so you can actually see it and kind of highlights it almost. Nice little touch. And then with the movement in this, it's a Miyota 9015. So you've got that high beat sweep of that second hand. Don't know if this is going to come up on camera, but we have actually got a textured dial. Not the easiest to capture, but it is slightly textured. Ah, there we go. And then we've got some nice interesting details on the back, because James is actually a scientist apparently. So he wanted this on the back, and this is piece 100 of 100. So the final one of that run. They have since changed a few bits, and they are coming out with a new version. Next up, we've got the Boderry Urban. So there's a couple of things that are interesting about this piece. Obviously that bezel is pretty interesting straight away. Something a little different, with those little slits out of it almost. Interesting design choice there. Not going to be to everyone's taste, but I actually quite like it, something a bit different. So it's actually a titanium case as well. So incredibly light and durable. Also, the really interesting thing with this one is the movement. So the movement in this is actually a Hangzhou 7200. So this is actually a 72-hour power reserve, which is really impressive for the price, especially. And a really nice custom rotor as well. Really impressed with that. And it's actually quite a nice strap as well. Something different again. It's kind of grain effect. Does look good. It's holding up well. When it comes to the dial, if I had a bit of an issue, it's probably the hands. They're a touch on the small side really. Could do with being slightly longer, maybe slightly thicker. Other than that, maybe the date window, maybe get rid of it altogether, or just colour match it. But you're still getting a lot of watch for the money. Next up, we've got the CIGA design skeleton watch, the Z series one. So I've recently done a review of this, so I'm not going to go into detail on this one. I'll just quickly show you what it's like close up. So really something a bit different and something pretty interesting looking. and it does actually wear a lot nicer than you'd think, and it's actually a lot more legible than you'd think as well when you've actually got it on wrist. It takes a couple of days to get used to it, but once you do, it's pretty easy, and it's definitely something unique. Next up, we've got another watch that I've featured in a few videos because it is another one of my favourites. It's the Heimdallr Great Wave, and it's all about that dial and also that crystal. Nice domed sapphire crystal. It's also a sapphire bezel as well. It's also a fully loomed bezel and a fully loomed dial. So not only do you get that beautiful design during the day, when it gets to the night, it actually lights up too. So something pretty special, I think. When it comes to the rest of it, it's pretty subdued really, but it's all about that dial, as I say. So nice curve to that case, so it helps conform to wrist, but no fancy little details or anything. Nice polished chamfered edge, but keeping it simple. This isn't the original strap, this is one that I've added since. This is a fluorine rubber one. Again, I'll probably leave links down in the description. But again, if you want a fully loomed dial, or if you want a Kanagawa dial, this is definitely a really nice piece to go for, I think. And it's running the NH35. Next up, we've got my favourite bronze watch that I own, the Steeldive SD1965S. So this is actually an homage of the Oris 65. And then you can see, got a nice bit of patina on this. Not getting to that horrible green stage, just a really nice patina, I think. The perfect kind of level. If it gets any more than this, I'll probably bring it back a bit, because this is the level I really like it at. And they've got that really nice blue dial as well, with those gold coloured indices, which did actually kind of match the bronze when I first got it, because it was quite bright. But now they're just matching the strap, because I've swapped the strap out on this for this one, which I think suits it quite well. And then the movement in this is in an H35, and then we have actually got a nice, not colour matched, but black date window at the bottom, so close enough. Helps it to blend in. And just a really nice piece, I think, something a bit different. Next up, we've actually got the watch that launched my channel, and that's the Hamtun H2 Kraken. So this is actually a titanium watch with a SW200 Solita movement. So this originally came on a titanium bracelet as well, but I've decided to swap it out at the moment for this nice yellow fluorine rubber one, just to add a nice little pop of colour. And then we got nice detailing on the back. So it is sapphire crystal as well. And then a ceramic bezel. So if you don't know, there's been a bit of controversy about Hamtun. So they've kind of gone bust, I think. They had some issues, some craziness going on apparently behind the scenes. And then that's resulted in the next watch they had on Kickstarter not being funded as far as I know. So I can't really recommend Hamtun. Don't know if the website's up still, but if it is, don't be buying anything off there. Bit of a shame. As I say, this is the watch that launched my channel. This was the first piece I reviewed, but it is what it is, I guess. I'm still quite happy with the watch. I do actually have another piece from them, but this is the one I wear mainly, and I'm mainly keeping it as well, because as I say, it's the watch that launched my channel. So next up, we've got a tourbillon movement in the Sugess ST8000. So that's what the movement in this one is. And again, this is another watch that I've featured quite heavily on the channel in a few videos. Again, one of the earliest ones I reviewed as well. And it is pretty special. And it's all about that movement, obviously. Absolutely beautiful. When it comes to the case, pretty simple as you'd expect. Got an ever so slight curve on that crystal, which is a sapphire as well. And then if I show you around the back, it does actually look quite good from the back as well. And then when it comes to the strap, that is actually alligator skin. So an alligator strap, and it does look pretty good. I think it goes with the watch well. Nice and comfortable, but as I say, it's all about that movement. Don't know if this is going to come across on camera, but the dial has actually got an ever so slight silver kind of shimmer to it. It's not completely white. Yeah, there we go, you can probably just about see that. And then the way the light catches those indices as well, it's quite nice. And again, I've not had any issues with this at all. Had it, I think it's over a year now. Still really enjoying it. Special occasion piece, definitely. Definitely not an everyday wear. So next up, we've actually got a Swiss piece, and that's from Nove. So this is the Nove Modena automatic. And then the movement in this is actually a Ronda R150. So it is a pretty interesting piece, this one. Just going to zoom in on that dial. So we've got pretty heavy AR coating on that, the blue hue. So again, some people may not like that. Pretty nice detailing on the dial. Something a little bit different. It's definitely not like anything else, this watch, especially with that case design. Really intricate, really fancy. It almost looks like the lugs on the bracelet wrap around the case, as opposed to joining on and into, if that makes sense. Just really interesting. And again, that carries on with the bracelet. Pretty interesting design. And then it is just a butterfly clasp. And then if I get a zoom and show you that movement, got the custom rotor on there. And then it is sapphire crystal as well on this. As I say, with an AR coating. Again, same with all of these, well, the majority of these watches. There'll be links in the description for the full reviews if you want to check them out. So next up, we've got something a little bit special from Sólás. So this is the Sólás Starlight. I did actually review one of these previously, but not this one. This is actually a limited edition special one that I actually won, luckily enough. So this has got the gold indices. In fact, get a zoom in and show you. It's got the gold indices and the gold hands, as opposed to silver on the other one. Still got that aventurine dial. And then we've also got this purple salmon strap. Yeah, you heard that right. That is salmon. Not leather, salmon. I had to double check, because when I heard that, I didn't believe it either. But it's actually holding up surprisingly well. I've not worn it a lot, because it's a special piece, but it's holding up better than you'd expect, given that it is salmon skin. And then this is the other special thing with this watch. It's got that fancier looking movement. The standard one is just silver, whereas this one is gold. So pretty special. And again, as I said, I was lucky enough to win this. So this is another one that I probably will never be getting rid of, because again, it's something special. The final piece is actually something a little bit special, even amongst all these other special ones, I think, because this is actually a grail piece that I've been after for a while. I've actually had possession of this for a little bit now, just haven't got around to doing a video on it. It's the Junghans Max Bill. Probably not going to be to everyone's taste when it comes to grail watches, but for me, this is just absolutely perfect. I absolutely love it. I love the simplicity, I love the Bauhaus style. The fact that they've got an automatic movement in that thinner case, I think is really impressive, because the case actually looks as if it's about as slim as that domed crystal. It's just a really simple, really elegant piece. I absolutely love it. So it's actually got an in-house movement. Can't remember what it is now exactly. I'm sure somebody will be able to tell us down in the comments. There it is, the Max Bill on there. And it is a really soft, comfortable strap. Again, nothing fancy, but suits the watch perfectly, I think. So if you want to see a full review on this, just let me know down in the comments. If people aren't really interested, obviously I won't do it, but if you are, just let me know. But that's it. This is the state of my collection, or at least the majority of my collection. I tried to narrow it down a little bit from what it was originally in the preview one, because there was far too many. So I've whittled it down a little bit. But let me know, what's your favourite piece? Or what's your favourite piece from every category perhaps, if you can't narrow it down to just the one. But hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.